Arsenal now and their pursuit of a striker. So, Dharmesh, Victor Gyökeres, how close?
This is really, really, really close.
That's close.
He's been given clearance to complete his move now by Sporting to Arsenal after a total agreement was reached between both clubs. There was pictures circulating on social media a little bit earlier on of Gyökeres and his agent on a flight that's going to London. He's expected to have a medical in London very, very soon. Could be as soon as the next 24 hours before flying out, it's hoped, to join up with the rest of the Arsenal squad for their pre-season tour, or the rest of their pre-season tour of Asia. Now, Arsenal play Newcastle in Singapore on Sunday. That's probably going to come far too soon. But then they face North London rivals Tottenham Hotspur in Hong Kong on Thursday. I just wonder if they can get it all done in time, and if he's match fit enough to play a part in a North London derby. It would be absolutely fantastic. But whether he does play or not, Mikel Arteta's aim is to integrate all of his new signings within his squad as soon as possible. And in a pre-season tour environment, that would be best. Just a reminder of the deal, Arsenal set to pay £55.1 million as a guaranteed payment, plus £8.7 million in performance-related add-ons. That's where there were all sorts of issues, but it now seems that Sporting believe that they're going to get the full whack eventually, because they feel that the conditions of these performance-related add-ons are very, very achievable.
Yeah, we're going to look at the performance-related add-ons because we don't tend to get an insight into these and what they look like. We tend to hear of trophies or league winning or goals scored, but this is the breakdown of the add-ons for Victor Gyökeres. And as Dharmesh said, Sporting wanted to make sure they're achievable. If you look at the first one, for every 20 matches, there's $1 million. So basically, if he plays 80 matches, that will reach the 4.36 million limit, and Sporting will get that. Well, you'd expect 27-year-old signing a 5-year contract. He's going to be playing 80-plus matches. The second one, again, benefits actually both, because if he's successful, scores plenty of goals, gets plenty of assists, Arsenal are going to be happy, Sporting get their fee. And again, the third one, very achievable considering Arsenal have come second in the Premier League the last 3 seasons, qualifying for the Champions League. And again, if they do that for the next 4 seasons, then Sporting will get their money. So really intriguing that this is over the line. And I must mention as well, he'll be wearing the number 14 shirt at Arsenal. Slightly iconic, shall I say, with Thierry Henry sporting that Arsenal's leading scorer of all time.
Well, when they get the deal done, he'll be Arsenal's 6th signing of the summer. And after 3 consecutive seasons finishing second, Mikel Arteta wants his players to embrace the pressure of going one better in this coming campaign.
Well, that pressure is a great word, and I think that means that there is belief in our ability to achieve what we want to achieve, and we've been very, very close the last 3 seasons. And the small things are going to decide whether we achieve that or not. But what we have to make sure that we don't lose sight of what we have to do daily, to get to the levels that we want, to set the demands that we want within the squad, because that's the most important one. The internal demands has to be always exceeding any external demand, and that's what we are trying to achieve every single day.
Are they done after Gyökeres then?
Not necessarily. I think the focus for Arsenal will be on player sales for a little while. Reece Nelson's in talks over a deal to go to Fulham on loan, while the 2 clubs are. He's still out in Singapore with the Arsenal squad. And the likes of Alexander Zinchenko, Fabio Vieira and Albert Sambi Lokonga, I think Arsenal will probably consider offers for them. And it kind of went quiet on the Ebery Eze front as well. I know there was a big interest from Arsenal earlier on in the window. It's gone very quiet at the moment. I'm not saying that interest has gone. One source has told me, look, just keep an eye on that one after maybe Arsenal can make some sales. So maybe just one to keep an eye on, but I think Arsenal still probably will want to go back into the window.
And I would say that position, the left-hand side, which is something Arsenal have wanted to strengthen in this transfer window, is probably the only place you would say Arsenal are lacking now. They've built a really strong squad. They needed the depth in their squad because of what happened last year with the injuries, dismantled their season, left them, 10 points behind Liverpool at the end of the Premier League campaign. Couldn't cope when they lost the likes of Bukayo Saka, but now have Noni Madueke to come in. He can also play on the left-hand side, and I think they need more impetus on that left-hand side. So I'll be intrigued to see what happens with Eze. But they've bolstered their midfield when they've had outgoings like Partey and Jorginho. They've brought in a defender to provide more competition. If you look across that whole pitch, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, indeed. All right, we're going to take a break. Ian Rush there. All right, James, we know Liverpool want Alexander Isak. How do they make it work financially?
Well, I don't know you were going to ask that question. It's a question on everybody's lips right now, though, isn't it? Look, I think We can look at Liverpool right now and we can look back on the last few transfer windows. Last two transfer windows, they signed one player, Federico Chiesa, for £10 million. So we know their outlay hasn't been so big. FSG has been criticised quite a lot in the past for not investing more money in Liverpool, not making big signings, but they run the club very prudently. We know the money's there. The reason why we know the money's there, let's go back a couple of seasons. Moises Caicedo, before he went to Chelsea, Liverpool were bidding over £100 million. They had money to spend. They were willing to spend big money on the right player. This is a club, and Richard Hughes, now in as sporting director, is not panicking on decisions. We know the club were very close to agreeing a deal with Martin Zubimendi. It didn't happen. They didn't panic last summer and go out and try and rush and sign a number 6. They just recruited internally. Ryan Gravenberch dropping back in, and it worked perfectly for them. But the success Liverpool are having now on the pitch, Premier League champions, brings in larger sponsorship deals. We know as of August 1st, they have a new kit sponsor in Adidas, 10-year deal. That's big, big money that's coming in. They are run so well right now that they have the money to spend. Not only that, they still have players within their squad that will recoup big, big transfer fees because the performances on the pitch have been so good, those players have improved and the transfer value remains high. The likes of Luis Diaz, we might get to, Darwin Núñez, Harvey Elliott, who all could depart Liverpool this summer and recoup some big, big money in.
I think when you ask the question, how can Liverpool do this? This question seems to always be asked by the rivals of Liverpool because they're looking at them quite enviously. And the reason that they're looking at them quite enviously is, touching on what James has said there, they are fantastically well run. He talked about not only hardly spending any money last summer, they actually recouped £40 million. People forget the likes of Bobby Clark and Sepp van den Berg brought them in money that effectively gave them a profit in last summer's transfer window. This summer, they've still made sales as well. Quansah's gone, Kelleher's gone. They even got £10 million for Trent Alexander-Arnold. So that's another £60 million. And the players that James mentioned, how much would Diaz, Núñez and Harvey Elliott bring in? You're talking in excess of 100 to 150 million pounds there as well. And you've got to remember, Mike, how PSR works. They may have spent 300 million pounds so far and maybe counting as well. But it's not 300 million pounds that goes off in this financial year. Effectively, you're going to have a 300 million pound spend over it's amortized over the length of the contract. So you might see 20 to 25% of that amount go in this 1 year. So you're looking at around 60 to 70 million pounds maybe going this year. Now, if they've recouped 60 million pounds from Kelleher, Quansah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, we do know the way PSR works, that 60 million, even though it will be paid in installments, goes straight into their books. So if Liverpool, for example, were to sell these other players and they made, I don't know, 100 to 145 million pounds or 150 million pounds in this transfer window, you could actually argue that 150 million pounds coming into the club could enable you to buy 3 or 4 or 5 players worth 80 million pounds because only a certain percentage of that huge fee is going out per year. That's why Liverpool are able to do this. Mark McAdam was talking about this last night on Sky Sports News, and he said he's spoken to one financial expert who said that they can go again, Liverpool, without selling anyone. That's how well run they are at the moment, which is why every rival club is asking, how are they doing this?
19 Premier League clubs fans head in hands at what you just said there. New hands. Can't much luck, are they, Dharmesh? Because